Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Kraven the Hunter, a Sony picture that's coming out a little bit later this year.
Yep.
And we saw, I don't know.
So we covered the initial teaser. Now this is
Right.
like the next trailer. I don't know. It didn't really do anything more for me than the first teaser did, which was not much of anything at all. After Madam Web, after Morbius, after the trailer that we saw for Venom 3, my opinion still stands. You know, there's nothing really to look forward to with Sony. Like Sony, like just give us Spider-Man at this point. That's it. You keep giving us all these Spider-Man villains without Spider-Man movies, and we just want Spider-Man to fight these guys. I'm over the whole like origin movie for just the villain.
How are you going to make a multiverse if you don't talk about the villains?
Oh man, and you know what? We're easing out of the multiverse trend right now, so they're going to be late to that train too.
I think what he's saying is that the Sony Marvel verse is not even connected. You know, we haven't seen interaction. We saw maybe one interaction between Jared Leto and Michael Keaton, one scene that didn't even make sense.
Yeah,
in Morbius.
Because I mean, let's be honest. Are any of these actors from these previous movies like really itching to come back for Sony for these other movies? Unless like the bill fits, but you know what?
Doesn't want to come back.
I'm sure he does. I mean, like just like the mental turmoil that he probably went through, just hearing all the feedback and the memes and everything. It's yeah, but you know, it's like these trailers, these movies from Sony always just seem colorless to me. There's no like, I don't know, like visual identity to it. It's just like a gritty sort of comic booky, but like really heavy action sequence type of movie. That's just, it comes and goes. And that's really about it. Like, I'm not looking forward to seeing Kraven. I'm not expecting, you know, I think that the question of like, oh, are we going to see Spider-Man at the end of the credits? No, we're not. Like, let's just get that out of the way.
It's a rated R film.
Yeah.
We're not going to see Spider-Man in this. There's no way Sony's going to be, or even Disney's going to let that happen and say, oh, we're going to put Spider-Man in a rated R film.
Yeah.
Don't forget, we could have been past this movie if it wasn't for the strikes, and it was supposed to come out last fall, and it got delayed a year.
Delaying the inevitable.
Yeah.
Because they needed their star, Aaron Johnson, to if I'm saying his name right.
Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, because he was going
not to be confused with Anya Taylor-Joy, but
right.
Yep.
Yeah, but you could clearly see that Russell Crowe's character dug out his body from Sokovia from the destruction of Age of Ultron, and he created and renamed a new creature.
Well, he is Zeus after all, so you know.
Oh, that too.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But a little fun fact for you guys. Ready? This movie has a budget of $130 million.
I mean, not the highest budget for a comic book movie. So
it's not, but it's a high budget. Like, what did we learn so far with Borderlands? $115 million budget.
I don't think this movie will do as badly as Borderlands. I think
I agree.
You're going to get the Spider-Man fandom coming in that, like, you know, even if they're not expecting to see Spider-Man, maybe they're legit fans of Kraven the Hunter. I do think Kraven the Hunter as a character has more pull than somebody like Madam Web or Morbius. I think he was more of a classic villain for Spider-Man than them. But we do see behind you something new that this trailer gave us was the Rhino. And
again,
it's like take two from Sony. It's like the Rhino in live action on the big screen. I don't know.
He looks a bit.
This shot right here is what everybody's anybody who is talking about this Kraven trailer, they're talking about this shot right here, seeing his face, the Rhino.
Here's the issue. Look at his face. It's just.
Is it me?
It looks like really bad CGI.
I don't know who's playing the Rhino, and I know for a fact it's not the same guy who played the Sandman, but like, doesn't he look like a Sandman reskin with two horns coming out of his forehead?
He does.
Like, it just, I don't know. It's, you know, it is, and it's not really the fault of this movie. The Rhino, like, he's not a good villain, in my opinion. He's a goofy looking character in the comics. He's hard to translate into live action. Maybe they were on, like, I thought the mech from Amazing Spider-Man 2 was terrible. No, but I looked at this and I'm like, maybe they were onto something with that design instead.
So apparently Alessandro Nivola is playing Kraven Alessandro Nivola is playing the Rhino in the Kraven the Hunter movie. And poor guy.
Does he look better than Rhino that was in the last Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, who was like very mechanical?
Well, that's what Johnny 64 was saying, that they both look shitty. I feel like Sony said, "Oh, well, if Marvel can do the Hulk in CGI,
Yeah.
why can't we do the Rhino in CGI?" And I don't blame them for trying, but they should have tried harder.
And they're throwing another Spider-Man villain that's in this movie. Chameleon's in this too.
Yeah, but see, Chameleon is anybody could be Chameleon,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So, what's Chameleon? He just has a white face.
You
Anybody
know,
could do that.
you take away, if you strip away the whole Marvel Spider-Man villain, and the stigma of the Sony movies lately with these, it doesn't look like it looks like a decent action movie.
I agree.
That has a darker tone to it.
I do agree with that.
And Aaron Taylor Johnson looks like $1 million, whatever he did to get into phenomenal shape.
Yeah,
for this role.
Hugh Jackman's still in better shape than him. Let's be honest, but he is definitely ripped, Aaron. But
by the way, what was that Logan joke? That Logan line you wanted to say? When they were playing Johnny Cash in the trailer.
Oh yeah, so during the trailer we heard like a Johnny Cash song, and even there I'm just like, the Logan trailer did it better with the song "Hurt." But yeah, it's just like I feel like that's part of the course for Sony, right? Like they just like to pull all the typical things that they think would just make a formulaic good trailer or a good comic book movie or whatever, and they just all end up being throwaways. Like maybe this won't be a bad movie, like you said, separating it from the whole Spider-Man thing. Maybe it won't be a bad movie, but it'll be like a forgettable movie. That's what the Sony movies have been at best. Besides maybe Venom 1. No one's really reminiscing about them. None of these movies have really stood out in a good way, at least. I think like Madam Web stands out for being bad. Morbius stands out for being particularly bad. But going the other way in the positive direction is usually not the case with these movies. So I'm not expecting anything more than that with Kraven here.
And I do agree with Pancakes. Remove the aspect of being part of the Spider-Man mythos, and I think it might be a good action movie.
It could.
But adding the mythos to that is going to make it a shitty Spider-Man villain flick.
That's why probably you and me, and probably you or Big Grim, if he go see with us, is that go into this with low expectations, so we won't be disappointed. But I think it does look 1,000,000 times better than Madam Web.
Well, see, here's the thing. I feel like I go into every single movie with low expectations, and you have to wow me, right?
Right.
Like I'll go in saying, okay, well, I hope this movie is great, but let's see what they have. And if it comes out to be a piece of shit, like Madam Web, which was horrible, and I was one of the few that said, come on, guys, there's a possibility.
No.
It just might be good.
Madam Web, no.
Boy, was I wrong. But maybe this movie will be good.
But getting back to Kraven, one saving grace is Russell Crowe as his
father,
abusive, more evil, to give him purpose to go. I guess that'll be the main villain to the origin story of this Spider-Man villain, which Sony's not making any sense. But I'm hoping that Russell Crowe as the main villain of the movie is the saving grace. But it is Sony.
You know what
it is? It is Sony and Spider-Man villains at the end of the day.
Yeah, but it's just like all these movies. It's just like when you try to make a good person out of a villain, you get into like really gray territory about what to even like make out of the character.
Anti-heroes.
He's not. Is like in the comics, I guess. Yeah, he is like an anti-hero at a certain point. But these guys are villains. End of the day, they're Spider-Man villains. Right. Like first and foremost, and it's like if you try to pit them against another villain, it's like, what are we watching all this for? Like if they're not like coming up against their real antagonist, what's the point of all this? And it's just time and time again, like that's I think the missing link to all these movies is just like, if you're not putting Spider-Man in, if we're not going to get like an Andrew Garfield throwback appearance, then it's like, what's the point?
Well, not in this movie, because we already know who the Rhino was in Andrew Garfield's world. It was Paul Giamatti.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's true. You're right. I think that's actually a very good point. Yeah. Seeing him like this here is a good message to all the Andrew Garfield fans out here that this can't be the same universe.
It,
So
it could be Tom Holland, or
No.
it could be
no,
um
I hope to God no.
well,
To me,
it could be Toby's also. You never know.
unless you're a fan of the source material, the Spider-Man animated series, I feel like Craven's only was like a villain like real fans would know. I don't think he would be popular enough for his own movie spinoff.
I agree.
So Sony's definitely taken a risk with like, because all the popular Spider-Man villains have been used. Look at No Way Home.
I think he's more. That's what I was saying before. I think he's a little bit more popular than Madam Web and Morbius.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Especially coming from the show and everything. But like, yeah, he's still like a B tier villain. Like, do I really care enough about Kraven to want to watch an entire movie about him and how he came to be? Probably not. It could just all be like a good flashback sequence in a Spider-Man movie if Spider-Man were to fight him.
Yeah,
Which is what we really want.
Right. Spend
You know?
5 minutes. Spend 5 minutes in the whole film explaining his origin story, and that's perfectly
Like this
fine.
movie. This movie could have been an email.
just put it in an email.
All these movies just could have been an email.
So the question goes out to you guys. What do you guys think? Do you think that this movie is going to be great? Do you think it's going to suck? Do you think that we need this movie? Let us know in the comment section down below. But I'm going to tell you this much. I'm being hopeful again. Maybe I'm right this time.
Stockholm syndrome at this point.
Definitely.
I'm still looking forward to Venom 3. I don't care.
Yeah, that's a different story.